Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. You've just tuned in to one of the most watched updates on the Iraqi dinar right now, and trust me, you'll want to stay till the very end of this one, because something big is happening and millions across the globe are watching closely. The words activation, third RV phase, and Tier 4B exchange centers are being thrown around everywhere, and it's creating waves of excitement and confusion. In this video, we're cutting through the noise, laying out what's really going on, what you should look for, and what this could mean for anyone following the dinar story. Whether you're a longtime IQD holder or just curious, this breakdown will make things clearer than ever. So, grab a seat, stay locked in, and let's get into this major 2025 Iraqi Dinar Revaluation update you simply can't ignore. Let's start with the scene as it stands today. The Iraqi dinar, symbol IQD, has long been one of the most talked about currencies in speculative investing circles. For years, there have been discussions, theories, and predictions about a possible RV, or revaluation, a sudden increase in the value of the dinar against other global currencies. The idea behind this speculation is that Iraq's economy, heavily backed by oil reserves and reconstruction potential, could eventually justify a stronger currency. In late 2025, that talk has flared up again because of claims that a so-called third phase of revaluation has been activated, and new exchange centers referred to as Tier 4B have allegedly opened. That's what's fueling the buzz. But as always, when hype spreads, facts matter more than ever. So, what exactly does third RV phase mean? In the simplest terms, it refers to what some in the dinar community describe as the final stage of revaluation. According to this narrative, Phase 1 involved groundwork, preparing systems and infrastructure. Phase 2 focused on stabilization and internal testing. Now, Phase 3 supposedly marks the moment when external access, conversion, or exchange becomes possible. Sounds big, right? The problem is, these terms aren't coming from any central bank or official government release. They're largely community-created. Still, their persistence suggests there's movement, or at least belief that something significant is happening behind the scenes. That's why investors and speculators alike are paying close attention, because where there's consistent smoke, some hope there might finally be fire. Now, let's talk about these so-called Tier 4B exchange centers. If you're hearing that phrase for the first time, it might sound confusing or even secretive. But in simple language, it refers to specific places, often rumored banks, financial hubs, or government-affiliated centers that would supposedly handle conversions for those holding dinar. Tier 4 suggests there are multiple levels or groups involved in access with Tier 4B, sometimes said to include private individuals who are part of certain groups, or those who registered interest earlier. The story goes that once Tier 4B opens, the exchange process truly begins. But here's the question that keeps coming up. Are these centers officially open, and if so, who can access them? So far, no verified public announcement from Iraq's central banking authorities confirms that these centers are operating for general use. Yet reports of activation persist across online channels and investor forums. Why is all of this grabbing so much attention right now? Because if it's real, if a genuine revaluation happens, it could dramatically change the financial outlook for those holding IQD. Imagine the possibility of a currency that jumps in value even modestly. After years of speculation, that's what excites people. But here's the flip side. For every hopeful story, there's a cautionary one. The dinar market has long been full of exaggerated promises, false alerts, and misleading claims. So while many want to believe that Phase 3 means a new beginning, others remind everyone to look at hard evidence before celebrating. And that's where real analysis becomes essential, separating emotion and rumor from measurable reality. Let's take a grounded look at where things stand with Iraq's economy and currency in late 2025. The dinar currently trades around 1,300 IQD per US dollar. That's roughly where it's been for quite some time. With minor fluctuations, it's stable but not skyrocketing. Iraq's central bank has focused heavily on maintaining control, stabilizing inflation, and balancing oil revenues, Those fundamentals are key. For a massive revaluation to occur, not a minor appreciation, but a true RV, there would likely need to be major economic policy shifts, possibly accompanied by announcements from both Iraqi and international institutions. So far, we haven't seen that kind of official signal. Still, that doesn't mean movement isn't happening behind closed doors. It just means that for now, what we see publicly remains calm, even as speculation grows louder. Supporters of the Phase 3 activation story argue that we're finally seeing the operational side of things move into place. They point to signs like financial institutions quietly preparing systems, reports of meetings, and even claims that certain banking staff have been briefed on IQD-related procedures. To believers, these aren't coincidences, they're confirmations. They argue this third phase represents the final countdown before a visible shift in value becomes public. On the other hand, skeptics argue that these signs appear every year, usually with no real follow-through. They warn that what's being seen as activation could just be routine banking updates or unrelated technical changes. The truth may lie somewhere, in between gradual steps that might one day build towards something real, but not necessarily overnight. Now, let's get real about what investors should actually be watching if they're serious about tracking the IQD's future. First and foremost, official announcements. If Iraq's central bank or government issues any statement mentioning new exchange programs, rate changes, or access for the public, that's major. Second, watch the interbank markets. If the dinar's rate changes even modestly across credible international exchanges, that's data, not rumor. Third, oil export performance. Iraq's economy lives on oil. When production rises, revenues increase, and currency stability improves. If reserves build up significantly, the country gains more leverage to adjust its exchange rate. And fourth, political and reform developments. When governance strengthens, currency confidence follows. Those four elements will always tell you more than 1,000 online predictions. Here's where the psychology of the dinar community comes into play. For many years, believers have treated the RV as a kind of financial prophecy, something long awaited that will one day deliver enormous wealth. It's a story that captures hope, persistence, and sometimes frustration. That's why every new rumor or phase activation gains traction. It reignites faith. But faith alone can't move markets. The key difference between speculation and success is verification. That's why this channel always encourages viewers to balance optimism with realism. Be hopeful, but also be informed. You can be ready for opportunities without falling for exaggerations. That's the healthy mindset for 2025, aware but not naive. Let's also talk about what a real, tangible RV would look like if it truly started. You'd see clear public announcements, specific exchange windows, and rate updates across financial platforms. You'd hear from international banks about new procedures. You'd see coverage on major media outlets in Iraq and abroad, and you'd likely witness a gradual strengthening in the market before a big spike, not an instant flip. In short, real change leaves a visible trail. Until we see that, the best move is to observe, prepare, and stay grounded. It's fine to stay curious, but it's dangerous to let hype drive decisions. Now, many are asking, could Iraq's situation realistically support a revaluation anytime soon? The short answer, not impossible, but complicated. Iraq's oil exports remain strong, and foreign reserves are growing, but political challenges, corruption concerns, and international dependency make rapid currency shifts difficult. The country would likely aim for slow appreciation rather than a massive overnight jump. A measured strategic rise in value could build stability while rewarding long-term investors gradually. That would be far healthier than sudden volatility. So when you hear phrases like, RV tomorrow, remember that economic evolution tends to move slower than the internet does. Let's look at it from a broader global context. Currency values don't operate in isolation, they move within a global financial ecosystem. If Iraq wants to strengthen the dinar meaningfully, it needs backing, partnerships, and market confidence. That often involves coordination with other central banks, adherence to international financial standards, and consistent fiscal policies. Over time, those steps could indeed lay the foundation for an appreciation, so rather than waiting for an overnight miracle, it's smarter to track long-term reforms. When you see Iraq improving trade systems, tightening regulation, or building foreign trust, that's when you'll know the dinar story is moving from talk to transformation. Now, let's return to the topic of exchange centers. If these Tier 4B locations do exist or are preparing to operate, what would that mean for holders? Potentially, it would provide a controlled channel for conversions, perhaps starting with limited access groups before opening broadly. But again, without official documentation or verified reports, we must treat this as speculation. Many financial institutions worldwide have strict foreign exchange compliance procedures, and they can't just begin converting currencies based on online claims. If activation were real, there would be procedural proof lists, verification processes, or central bank statements. Until that appears, the conversation remains theoretical. Still, being aware of how such systems might work helps you prepare if real activation does occur. It's also vital to talk about risk management. The dinar market has seen countless scams over the years, from fake exchange offers to counterfeit notes and fraudulent priority lists. Never share personal or banking information with anyone claiming insider access. If conversion becomes possible one day, it will happen through recognized financial channels, not through email links or secret appointments. Always verify before you act. Remember, if something sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Protect your money, protect your identity, and rely only on credible, traceable sources. As we move deeper into 2025, the broader question isn't just whether the RV will happen, but what form it might take. Will it be sudden or gradual? Will it be open to everyone or limited to those inside Iraq? Will it raise the dinar modestly or dramatically? Those are open questions. What we do know is that Iraq continues to work on strengthening financial systems and modernizing its economy. That's good news for the long term. But the road to full convertibility and international parity is long, and it requires patience. The people who stay informed, cautious, and prepared will be in the best position when opportunities arise. At this point, the Phase 3 activation story has become a kind of test for how the dinar community handles news and speculation. Will people jump blindly at every new claim, or will it analyze data, look for patterns, and stay disciplined? The smart ones will do the latter. It's tempting to chase hype, but it's wiser to think like a strategist. That means setting realistic timelines, tracking credible updates, and knowing when to act and when to wait. The truth is, successful investors don't rely on emotion, they rely on information and timing. That's the mindset to carry through the rest of this year. If you're holding IQD, here's a quick checklist for your next steps. First, ensure your notes are authentic and well documented. Keep receipts or verification records. Second, stay connected to trusted financial institutions that actually handle foreign currency. Third, monitor Iraq's economic announcements regularly. Fourth, avoid panic whether positive or negative. Emotional decisions lead to mistakes. And finally, remember that the dinar's value, like any asset, depends on real-world fundamentals. If Iraq continues reforming and stabilizing, appreciation will follow naturally over time. So, where does all this leave us right now in November 2025? We're at a fascinating crossroads. There's momentum in the conversation, curiosity from millions of watchers, and hints that something might be developing beneath the surface. Yet, at the same time, official silence remains. That's why this update is crucial, because it helps keep perspective. The dinar revaluation story isn't dead, but it's not fully alive either. It's in a waiting stage, perhaps slowly awakening. And in that uncertainty, smart preparation becomes the edge that separates informed followers from blind believers. In the coming months, watch for a few critical signs. If Iraq's government or central bank publishes details about new exchange programs, that's major. If international financial systems begin recognizing a rate shift, that's confirmation. If media within Iraq start covering exchange centers publicly, that's the clearest sign of activation. And if none of these occur, that means patience is still required. But patience, when paired with preparation, often leads to success when opportunity finally arrives. Now, let's address a question many are asking. Could 2025 finally be the year the dinar truly moves? Based on current signals, it's possible we'll see modest shifts, maybe gradual strengthening, but probably not an overnight explosion. The odds of a 10x jump remain low without structural reform. However, Iraq's fundamentals are improving. Oil output is solid, trade routes are expanding, and digital finance adoption is accelerating. That combination could quietly build the conditions for a stronger dinar over time. It's not flashy, but it's sustainable, and sometimes the quiet moves create the loudest outcomes later. For longtime holders, this might be a test of endurance. Years of waiting can cause frustration, but remember that major economic transformations take time. The euro didn't become strong overnight. The same goes for Japan's yen or South Korea's won during their rebuild phases. Iraq's journey may mirror that slow, steady, and eventually rewarding. The key is perspective. If you treat this as a marathon, not a sprint, you'll be better positioned when things finally shift. As we wrap up this deep dive update, let's summarize the big takeaways. The phrase, third RV phase activated, is making headlines across investor communities, sparking hope that Iraq's long-awaited currency move may finally be progressing. Tier 4B exchange centers are part of that conversation, though not officially confirmed. They represent the vision of controlled access to new conversion opportunities. Iraq's economy remains stable but not dramatically revalued yet. Real proof would come from visible official action, announcements, rate updates, and operational exchanges. Until then, stay curious but cautious, be hopeful but grounded, and keep your expectations realistic. The dinar story has always been about patience meeting preparation. The next few months may bring clarity, or they may bring more waiting, but either way, those who stay informed and rational will come out ahead. Remember, financial success rarely comes from sudden miracles. It comes from understanding timing, facts, and long-term vision. Keep watching the signals, keep learning, and stay focused on what's real, not just what's rumored. Alright friends, that's our full November 2025 update on the Iraqi Dinar Revaluation story, the Phase 3 narrative, the talk of Tier 4B centers, and what all of it might really mean. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit the like button, share it with someone who's been following the IQD journey, and don't forget to subscribe to stay updated as new developments unfold. Because when the real move begins, and it eventually will, you'll want to be among the first who truly understand what's happening. Thanks for watching, stay sharp, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.